Hi everybody, my name is Katie, author of the upcoming novel Nico, available May 2013. But I'm not here to talk about that book, I'm here to talk about two books again, and the title is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. It's the first book in the trilogy, and the second book in the trilogy is The Broken Kingdoms. I like the covers by my favorite cover artist, well, one of them, but it's Cliff Nielsen. The cover, I'm thinking it might be a little whitewashed. It's supposed to be the main character, if it is so. But the blurb in the back doesn't really tell you much about the story. The blurb reads thusly: Yin, or maybe Ye Ne, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce her name right, so I'm going to say Yin throughout the whole thing. Yin Dar is an outcast from the barbarian north, but when her mother died under mysterious circumstances, she is summoned to the majestic city of Sky. There, to her shock, Yin is named an heiress to the king, but the throne of the 100,000 kingdoms is not easily won, and Yin is thrust into a vicious power struggle. So, I guess how the book is set up is very kind of like complicated, in-depth, with like multiple layers. It's onion-like. So the blurb can't really tell you exactly much. I'm kind of glad that it tells you so little. Kind of doesn't raise your expectations too high or mess them up completely by saying stuff that's not really in the book. I hate blurbs that do that. But anyway, it's set in the nobility class, this first book. The second book is more with the common people and stuff like that. And in the world that she created, there are gods and everything like that. There was originally 3, but then one died, one went crazy, and imprisoned the other one. So there's only really one that's worshipped and everything like that. And the people that worship that god, they were able to rise up and basically be kings of the world and stuff like that. I like how this is actually really, really good. I mean, like, it's kind of like fantasy I would want to write if I was really writing fantasy. Even though I have fantasy elements in this story, I can never do like huge world building because I'll be afraid that I'll either get all info dumpy, which the first chapter of this book is slightly info dumpy, but it's very complex, so actually what it could have been is less than what the first chapter actually is, even though it still feels kind of info dumpy. Okay, we'll talk around in circles, but anyway. It's like very complex. There's like, so the people who worship the winning god is, the god's name is Tempest. And he's like the god of the morning. It's called Bright, and he's about order and stability and, you know, never changing and stuff like that. And wow, that is good, but it also can be flipped if, you know, it's done the wrong way. So since the god went mad, it's kind of being done the wrong way. And the girl, the main character Yin, she is sent, her mother married a person her father didn't want her to marry, so she was outcast and struck from the family roles and all that. So she grew up without being in the kingdom, and with all the vicious politics that are had in the kingdom and everything like that. I mean, she was like the ruler of the barbarian north kingdom that she had, but then when her grandfather called her up, she had to lose that title when she became heir. Well, a potential heir, because her and her 2 cousins, Rolad and Gemina, and so it's like she has to survive in that because, you know, they've been fighting among themselves, Rolad and Sakima, for however long they've been fighting too, because they were named, ever since they were named heirs. And so when she comes along, they're kind of like, interloper, and so they're kind of scheming to kill her too. But she's surviving for 2 weeks, oh, possibly 3, I think it was 2. And while she's there, she meets the other gods that were in prison. There's 3 gods, Tempest, and Nepha, and Nahada. And so it was basically, in simple terms, the god of the morning, the god of the evening, and the god of, well, the goddess of dawn and dusk, you know, the in-between times. So while Entepis is the morning, order, non-changing, you know, straight and narrow, you know, like that. Nahadoth is the god of darkness and chaos and change, and while it could be bad and good at the same time, it's not everybody's all bad and everybody's all good. But ever since the Entepis god won the Gods War, whatchamacallit, for the past 2,000 years, history has been written by the victor, so the Nahadoth god is like, he's bad. And the Nessa goddess, she's been rewritten as a betrayer, a whore, you know, we don't like you, kind of thing. See, it's really complicated. And so the Entepis, he went crazy and he decided to imprison his brother in a mortal form. And he only gets to change, like, he has to do what everybody says, everybody who is descendants of the tribe that followed Entepis and got in the goods with him. So, yeah, the Nahadoth god has to follow their clan. Everything he says, they're servants. Him and his children. I forgot one's name. Sia, and I forgot the other's name. But it's 4 of them, and they're stuck in the castle, and they have to, you know, they're basically slaves. And so when she comes in, they kind of rope her up into the scheme, and I'm not going to tell you the scheme, to, well, basically get free. But that's not the part of the scheme. There's other deeper parts. Like I said, it has many layers. It's really good. I wish I could write like this. She's like, oh, I love you. Anyway, so I would suggest you read this book. It's like mind-blowing. I'll give it 4.5 out of 5. But it gets a half star less because of the info dump first chapter, even though I understand why I was info dumping. So, read that book. Now, the second book, ta-da! It's, well, basically the sequel after what happened in the first book. It has a different main character than the first one. The blurb, it reads, let's see. Gods and mortals, power and love, death and revenge, she will unleash them all. In the city of shadow, beneath the world tree, alleyways shimmer with magic and godlings, live hidden among mortal kind. Ori Shoth, a blind artist, takes in a strange homeless man on an impulse. This act of kindness engulfs Ori in a nightmarish conspiracy. Someone, somehow, is murdering godlings, leaving their desecrated bodies all over the city, and Ori's guest is at the heart of it. So, it still happening in the first book that influences the second book. I had gotten this book first at the library, and it was torture. Do not read this first, because I really wanted to read it. Let's see. Actually, the reason why I got this series, oh, lovely cover, I love this guy. Anyway, the reason why I got this series originally is because I was on Tumblr, tumbling, and I was like, oh, what's this? There was actually some uproar about, there's people who were feeling that, the book was racist because the lighter skinned people are pressured, and a lot of the dark skinned people don't like them, and they've actually overthrown them. So basically, they felt that it was white people are evil, and the black people and brown people are the good ones, right? You'll actually be surprised how a lot of that appears in all kinds of fantasies. Not white people bad and black people good, but you know, the reverse. It's like such a cliche. Anyway, so I was like, oh well, let's see, you know, what's the fuss about, and get the book, right? It's not that at all. I hate people who do that. Who go, they haven't even read the book, they only read like 1 sentence or 2 or half a chapter, and then they're like, the book, it deals with sex. And there's a kiss. Oh, the book is ultraviolet. Only one person dies, and it's off screen. Oh, the book is, this is homeschoolers. Oh, well, actually, this happened to my mother, but anyway, the book, this is homeschoolers. Ban it, burn it, kill it. And then they make this big fuss about it, these little lazy people who don't even read, and then they make everybody else not read the book about the dumb blind people who actually follow them, who who think what they're saying is legit, and you know, I wouldn't want to encounter a book like that, and so to protect themselves, they don't read it, even though the other person was just a lying, stupid head. But anyway, the book is not like how people were saying. If they actually read the book, they'll see how in-depth it is, you know, about oppression and prejudice and class and sexism and like all this stuff in it. The woman's a psychologist, so it's like all this stuff that deals with the head and mind is really, really good. Now, this book has a different main character. Different main character than the first book. It's forgot her name, but she's a blind artist. Different main character. So at first I was kind of disappointed by that, but in the end it turns out really good. And then stuff happens, but I will not say it because it will spoil the first book. Read the first book first. And then I can't wait for the third book. Had a little blurb in the back about first book, a little excerpt. Oh my god, I can't wait for the third one! Alright, that's it. Bye.